Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we try to make sense of the financial world one filing at a time. Today we're looking at AgEagle aerial systems and a report that sounds like it's about to put them in a tight spot with the stock exchange. So what's the big story here? Well, AgEagle got a heads up from the NYSE American, basically telling them they weren't following the rules for staying listed. Their shares could be in danger of being kicked off the exchange. Let's rewind a bit. Back in April, AgEagle got a letter from the NYSE American. This letter said the company wasn't meeting certain requirements, specifically about how much money shareholders owned versus what the company owed. Think of it like owing more than you own in your house. The NYSE American has rules that say companies need a certain amount of shareholder equity to stay listed. For example, they need at least $2 million in shareholder equity if they've lost money in 2 out of the last 3 years. If they've lost money for even more years, that equity requirement goes up. And here's the kicker. As of the end of last year, AgEagle actually had a stockholders deficit, meaning they owed more than they owned by $57 million. And to make matters worse, they've been losing money for the last 5 years straight. Now, the NYSE American gave AgEagle a chance to fix this. They had to come up with a plan called a plan to get back on track. They had until October 2026 to do it. AgEagle actually submitted their plan in May of this year. And that brings us to this July report. AgEagle got another letter from the NYSE American. This one said they reviewed AgEagle's plan and their financial predictions. The good news is the NYSE American accepted the plan and gave them the full time until October 2026 to get their finances in order. This means the NYSE American will be watching AgEagle closely during this period to make sure they're sticking to the plan. If AgEagle falters or doesn't make the progress they promised, the NYSE American could still start the process to delist them. The important thing to note right now is that this doesn't mean AgEagle's stock is being immediately deleted from the exchange. Their shares can still be traded on the NYSE American, as long as they keep following all the other rules. This report doesn't change how the company operates day to day or their reporting to the SEC. However, and this is a big however, AgEagle itself admits there's no guarantee they can actually fix their financial situation by the deadline. They're trying hard, but it's a tough road ahead, and even if they meet the deadline, they need to make sure they're following all the other NYSE American rules too. And if things go wrong, any attempt to appeal a delisting could also fail. Now, like many companies, AgEagle includes a section about forward-looking statements. This is basically a disclaimer saying that some of the things they say about the future might not actually happen. They use words like anticipate, expect, and potential. They're being upfront about the risks. These include uncertainties about future financial results, whether they can fulfill current and future orders for their drone products, if new projects and software updates will be successful, and their ability to actually get back in line with the NYSE American standards. If you want to dive really deep into the specific risks, they point you to their annual report from last year. They're basically saying that things could go very differently than they hope. They also have a section about Regulation FD disclosure. This is a fancy way of saying they're making sure all investors get the same important information at the same time. In this part, they're basically telling us that they attached a press release announcing this news. This press release is what we normally see about this kind of event. But they also make it clear that this information, even though it's attached, isn't officially considered filed with the SEC in the same way as the main report, which is a common legal distinction they make. They've included Exhibit 99.1, which is the press release dated July 14th of this year. Then there's Exhibit 1.4, which is for interactive data, often used for making these reports more accessible digitally. And finally, we get to the signatures. This report is officially signed off on July 14th, 2025 by Alison Burgett, who holds the title of Chief Financial Officer for AgEagle Aerial Systems, Inc. Her signature makes the report official, confirming that the company stands by the information presented. Now, looking at this filing, AgEagle is in a precarious position. They're trying to climb out of a financial hole, and the NYSE American has given them a lifeline, but it's a very conditional one. The fact that they've been losing money for 5 straight years and currently have a deficit in shareholder equity indicates a fundamental challenge in their business model or its execution. They need to not only stop the bleeding, but also show a clear path to profitability and positive equity. The acceptance of their plan is a positive step, showing they have a strategy. However, the caveat that they may not achieve compliance is a significant red flag. It suggests that their turnaround plan is ambitious and faces substantial hurdles. The company's future listing on the NYSE American, and by extension its ability to raise capital and maintain investor confidence, hinges entirely on their ability to execute this plan within the given time frame. The biggest risk here is simply not being able to turn the ship around fast enough. If their new strategies, product launches, or customer orders don't pan out as planned, they could easily miss the deadline and face delisting. This would severely impact their stock value and their ability to operate as a publicly traded company. On the flip side, if they succeed, they could emerge stronger and more financially stable. It's a classic turnaround situation where success is far from guaranteed. In conclusion, AgEagle is on probation with the stock market. They have a chance to fix their financial issues, but it's a high-stakes game with no guarantees. Investors should be watching very closely to see if AgEagle can deliver on its promises by October 2026. Alright, that's our breakdown of AgEagle's latest filing. What's your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.